Good morning, everybody. I'll declare the meeting open. A little bit late. My apologies. Just take some questions and leave. Get the pieces together. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to people in the gallery. Attendance, apologies. We're all here. Here. No apologies. Is there any leave of absence required? Okay. That's at the end of the meeting, correct? Thank you. Declarations of interest. This is what's straight out. Here we go. Right, I have declaration of interest from Councillor Dudley Maslin on item 7.3.2 developments. Yeah, I'm trying to work out whether I'm doing this wrong too. You want to work out what I interest. I'm just checking. So the item is 7.3.2, the development application. The nature of Dudley's interest is indirect financial, and the extent of the interest is his wife occasionally rents a wing of a granny flat for hosted bed accommodation. Dudley will have to leave the room on that one. The next one is from Councillor Beard, and on the same item 7.3.2, development application P65/25. The nature of the interest is financial, and the extent of the interest is, financial, and the nature of the business is the local is council deals and accommodation provider. Well, Councillor Dudley Maslin on the item 7.1.2, request for release Heritage Group. The nature of the interest is the member is a chair of Carnarvon Heritage Group. The extent of the interest is impartiality. Councillor Burke Maslin on 7.1.5, impartiality. Currently the chairman of the GDC. Item 7.1.2 from Councillor Burke Maslin is the nature of the interest is his father is the chair of the CHG, and the extent of the interest is impartiality. That's public question time. Do we have any else? Ms. Nelson, David, Mr. Gooch, you wish to ask the questions?
Yes. David Gooch, Member Station, Carnarvon. How many Carnarvon Shire employees have resigned or been terminated from the employ of the Carnarvon Shire between the 1st of September 2024 and the 23rd of February 2026, 18 months?
I'll take that one and note it, Mr. Gooch, so they can view the record of the information.
How many people have started employment with the Carnarvon Shire between 1st September 2024 and the 23rd of February 2026, 18 months?
Same again, Mr. Gooch, I'll take that on notice.
Question number 3, how many employees that have left the Carnarvon Shire between the 1st of September 2024 and the 23rd of February 2026, 18 months, have had to sign a non-disclosure document / contract / agreement, and how much money has been paid out by the Shire for these?
Once again, Mr. Gooch, I'll take that one on notice. Thank you, and get back to you with written response.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Gooch. The other questions I have, is there anybody else? Ms. Nelson?
Ian Nelson, 55 Cleveland Street, Carnarvon. Thank you, Mr. President. Well, thank you to councillors. I have 3 questions. Under what authority can the CEO decline or reject a ratepayer's request for an item to be presented to council in chambers for consideration?
The advice I've been given is in a meeting with the CEO is that this is a legal operational matter. And at this point in time, there wasn't a role to take this to council.
Item 2, further, on what basis is a ratepayer advised not to raise their concerns directly with individual councillors, given that councillors are elected representatives of the community?
I was advised that given that this is an operational Shire matter with a legal basis, it isn't appropriate to campus councillors and can cause interest issues.
Item 3, has the proposal for the amended lease been presented to council for Carnarvon Lotteries House in a formal council meeting in chambers, noting that the matter previously presented to council on 22nd of February 2022 has not been actioned in accordance with the council's resolution? If the amended lease has not been presented to council, could you please advise the reasons for this and when the matter will be brought before the council for consideration and resolution?
Thank you for the question. I'll take that on notice, but the matter is being reviewed at the moment. And
Could council consider me one more question?
thank you.
Did the council confirm receipt of correspondence to Carnarvon Lotteries House dated the 16th of February 2026 from Mrs. Dexter titled lease position and whether it has been noted on your records? Thank you.
Take that one on notice as well. Thank you. Your written answer shortly. I also have a submission of questions, 3 questions from Mr. Paul Shane of 711 North River Road. Questions are, with regards to your answer to Mr. Dave Gooch's second question at the last meeting, would the President like to answer as to why the contractor suppliers have not been requested as yet to do the code of conduct training? Unlike the volunteers who under the Act and regulations are in fact employees of the Shire, the contractors and suppliers are not classed as employees of Shire, is the advice I've been given. How is the Carnarvon Shire going with leasing of the Palmview residence as per the original grant application to directly benefit local residents and businesses? I'll hand over to CEO to answer that one. Thank you.
So through the chair, at this point in time, the Palmview, we've been negotiating and working through things with Grove. At the minute, we are leasing to Shire staff, but as per the grant agreement, it was proposed that they went to Grove Housing, and we are having those discussions with them going forward.
Thank you. And question 3, how much is each of these residences getting leased for?
Yes. I know that full market rate is being paid, but I'll need to.
The following question was taken on notice from Mr. David Gooch at Manbury Station on the council meeting held on the 27th of January, which was question 3. Councillors, would you like me to read that out, or are you happy? What was the councillor? The councillors, would you like that read out, or?
I've read it. The chairman came out with minutes of it, so I'm happy.
Yeah, okay, so it's public, no comment, it's out to the public anyway, so we'll move right along. Thank you very much. Right. There's also questions from Mr. Andrew Ellis in regards to. I've only got the one question. No, that's right, I did too, yeah, I did.
That was the one.
Yeah, so one taken on notice is in. And yet, the councillors, once again, would you like me to read out this very long answer? No, everybody's happy. Right, we'll move right along. Confirmation and receiving of minutes. I have someone confirm the minutes. Item 4.1, confirm the minutes of the ordinary council meeting January 27th, 26th. Councillor Farina. Councillor Skender. Is there any debate on that, councillors? Being no debate, that's adopted unanimously. Receiving minutes of the Major Projects and Infrastructure Committee, the Community Growth Fund Committee and the Risk and Improvement Committee. Someone move that we do these on block, please. Councillor Maslin. Councillor Kennedy with the hand up first. Councillors, is there any debate on this? There being no debate, that's adopted unanimously. So councillors, can I have someone move we accept those minutes? Councillor Maslin. Councillor Kelly, you seconded those? Thank you. Councillors, is there any debate on those? Being no debate, we will move right along. Announcements by the President without discussion. There's none. Presentations, petitions and memorial. None. We'll get straight into the departmental report. Freedom of Information, review of the Freedom of Information statement, item 7.1.1. Over, please. Councillor Maslin. Seconder, please. Councillor Kelly. Councillors, is there any debate on that? Questions? There being no debate on questions, that's adopted unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.1.2, request for the lease, Carnarvon Heritage Group.
In the room or? Impartial.
It's impartiality, councillor. Councillor Kelly. Councillor Farina. Is there any debate on this, councillors?
Supporting the President.
Councillors, I support the office of recommendation, the Carnarvon Heritage Group under current and recent past management has demonstrated capacity to manage physical and financial assets, in part preserving a part of Carnarvon's history and importantly leveraging that precinct down there as a tourism attraction. So the granting of the leases will just simply another iteration in its journey as a business and an attraction. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Kelly. I'll take that as a speaking for the motion. Are there any speakers against the motion? I will note and I'll applaud what councillor Kelly said that I think the Carnarvon Heritage Group amongst that's involved. I see this is just a continuing transition on the improvement that's occurring. So well done to them. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you. Item 7.1.3, request for lease renewal of the Carnarvon Wildcats Club. Move it, please. Councillor B. Maslin. Second, please. Councillor Kelly. Councillors, is there any debate?
Okay, I'd just like to recommend all councillors support this recommendation. I mean, Lions Club have been a very big part of the community for a very long time. As there's a older, hopefully the younger crew involved, but they do a power of work, especially Australia Day celebrations, Carnarvon and numerous other good deeds there. And this is one way we can support those community groups. So those all council to vote in favour of the recommendation.
Any speakers against this motion, councillors? Last question.
Yeah, so just on 714, this one for the Lions Club. They're a fundraising entity, I believe, for years. Would we be interested in cooperation in waiving their lease migration fees as well, like as we just adopted for the Heritage Group? Keep in mind though that golf club is the next item where it's recommended that they pay their own lease fees. I wholeheartedly support the golf club. It's a slightly different type of entity though, where it's not a social club and things like that. So rather, yes. Whereas I was thinking maybe if I could do an amendment for what's easiest, I would have someone's support.
So how the CEO has just suggested that we add that in as another dot point of the motion. If the two motion movers, the mover and seconder are happy with that.
Yeah, I'll add it.
So if we have a dot point E, that the cost of doing the lease preparation is removed. Any speakers against the motion? I forgot the last time, so someone would you like? Yeah, again. Close the debate, yes.
Thank you, councillor Skinner, for putting forward even further support from councillors and some putting some financial relief also back into the club before the motions even pass. So thank you for that. So yeah, without that, no further debate. Debate's closed.
Thank you. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item 7.1.4, request for deed of extension of lease, Carnarvon Golf Club. Please, councillor Kelly. Councillor Farina. Councillors, is there any debate?
I'll speak for the motion if I may, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chair.
Councillors, I support the motion and recommend you do as well. As we all know, the Carnarvon Golf Club is a passionate group of golf enthusiasts. Given some of the conditions they play in, they've got to be passionate and enthusiasts. In recent years, they've added to the amenity of their course, mainly through their greening program, which over time will hopefully be a game changer for them, particularly in the tourism. Tourists don't like playing on sand fairways. And they've also done significant improvements on their clubhouse. And I must say, they're also a group that are reasonably silent about their achievements and problems. So they get on and do the job. So I highly recommend that we provide that lease extension for them. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Kelly. Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Kelly, could you close the debate, please?
Close, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item 7.1.5, nomination of council representation on the Gascoyne Development Commission board. And we have an officer's recommendation with 2 names there, so. Could I have a movement, please? Councillor Dudley Maxwell. Second, please. Councillor Farina. Councillors Dudley, would you like to open debate or just?
I don't really believe there'd be any need for debate on this, Mr. Chairman. There's 2 recommendations. And I don't think we've got a very big pool when they talk about the council, we have 8 members. And they're asking for a representative from our local government. And there are 2 people with their hands up or agreed being considered. And I think they're both worthy of our support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, councillor Dudley Maxwell. Any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? There being no further, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's a unanimous one. Thank you. Bill, item 7.1.6, actions performed under delegated authority for the month of January. Mover, please. Councillor Carina. Seconder, please. Councillor Skender. Councillors, is there any debate on this discussion? The being none, it's adopted unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.1.7, the 25-26 mid-year budget review. Councillor Kelly. Seconder, please. Councillor Skinner. Councillors, is there any debate? Questions? Please.
Yeah, thanks for this through. My attitude was, need a budget variation. I think it's a good thing. I think it shows that staff are on top of understanding the financials. It also gives us a bit of an overview of where we're at. So I'm saying that, fortunately, I wasn't that for that briefing last week on the Perth. I'd just like to ask the details. So it's very good. It's listed here, each variation. Were they, was council briefed on each variation? Because for me, if not, I'd like to take 5 to 10 minutes, even if you just stop standing orders quickly and just go through them, if possible. Just a bit of a, just so we're on top of it. If that's okay.
Do you want to move this?
Also,
Stand.
standing orders that we go through.
We have the detail with you then. Yeah, so Moore was here to give the detailed presentation and we've only got their presentation, which was emailed out to councillors to understand. So we can give, can Zex in the room give a little bit of advice to councillor Skender on where our savings have
So
been?
just for example, so just so to clarify, so things like decreased airport lease payments, for example, that's 110,000. So that's 50,000 reallocate local control employee costs, 300,000 French Road, French Street budget increased, things like that. Just
Yeah, so just quickly, on if we do those then.
I think we've had to suspend standing orders. So councillor Skender, you move that we suspend standing orders. Seconded by councillor Farina. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. So councillor Skender.
So if you could highlight the key one, or do you want, what would you?
Just if we can just go through them. If I know it's a bit onerous, but I think it's important. It's
So Zex, if we could, at each one, if you could type up for me, so you would know the detail as much as. So increase to grant income, DPERD approved. Anyone know?
That's of a training and apprenticeship wages, right? Received $40,000, but that's received $50,000.
Increase to fines and penalties reallocated from other revenue, 10,000. So we're just currently tracking above and therefore we've upped that along the trend. Yeah. Decrease to airport lease payments reallocated to other revenue, 110,000. Jamie, are you in a position?
Yeah, some of those would be attributed to the Coral Coast helicopters lease,
yes.
reducing their footprint at the Old Terminal.
That was that lease that council signed up on. Decrease to payments, fines and penalties. So that's it, that in and out, and the same in and out. So then in terms of expenditure, reallocating control employee costs to materials and contracts for range of services. We've been using, we've advertised and haven't been successful securing replacement ranger, so we've been using contractors. And so that's just changing that from that over to that. It's not an increase in expenditure at all. Decrease in phone and internet charges due to plan changes. That obviously the story. Decrease to software allocations, 24,000. Further.
Still the same, is it?
Okay, so make some savings there.
Yeah. That consultancies one is integrated, is that,
Increase to consultants for integrated reporting. So that
Software?
has been, no, that's part of the finance work. But the same again, we have had some changes in our staffing, and so that's. Oh, and the council plan that we're doing work there. Going forward with that this financial year.
the, or officers?
Or
Okay.
Stevens are providing that support while we get to the bottom of a few things. Decrease to parks and gardens in line with year-to-date actual goal.
Wasn't part of the plan. It's just reduced to make the current demand.
Okay. Decrease to building surveyor contractor in line with the requirements, so we've obviously just not needed quite so much.
Mostly inspections, yes, so no on-site inspections anymore, so
Okay, art gallery equipment reallocated to capital expenditure, so that's a reallocation. Insurance claims, just what they are.
It's going to be laws with subconventional reserve effects, so we're going to have to pay for insurance costs.
Increase due to annuity fees for borrowings not included in the budget. So that must have been missed at the time of budgeting. So that's a change to that. And increased assurance premiums. Obviously, we never quite know. We budget accordingly, and then what comes in through LGIS. Investing activities. So we've had an increase in art gallery grants received. I know that Steph's been working really hard in that. We've brought in more money from Roads to Recovery into the budget to cover works that we've been undertaking. Depot improvements, that was some storage and shelving and things to help us operate better out there. The street sweeper is being reallocated because we just can't get it supplied.
That's correct. So it's in place and it's been effectively in a reserve, I guess, for such times we can get the actual kit.
Yeah, and we did draw on the loan and we earn interest on that, which is not a bad time to be doing that.
So we, through the chair, so we draw down the treasury loan for the street sweeper. We're holding it in a reserve. Is it in a reserve or is it in
It's
our?
being transferred to reserve here is my understanding.
It will be.
Yeah.
Next month, is it? Well, it didn't appear apparent from the reserve, but it's,
Well, you won't actually see that until the end of the financial year. It'll be reported that it's in the reserve at that point.
in the financial activity statement.
Oh, unless say after this, perhaps you'll then see it in next month.
So if are we getting more money on the investment than they pay?
Yes. Because we get from Treasury, which is different than what we get from the bank.
Thank you.
Where are we? Decrease due to other vehicle purchases were under budget, so we're underspent on some of what was the budgeted expenditure to purchase vehicles. Increase due to purchase of boom spray. So we purchased a new boom spray.
That's likely to increase efficiency around town, but increase productivity massively by having that better kit.
Large printer scanner, we leased that in lieu of purchasing. So really there's just an offset, but the cost is similar. Decrease to budget for firewall upgrades and chamber conferencing hardware, so they came in under budget. Increase to budget for art gallery equipment offset by grant revenue. I think that speaks for itself. Increase to the budget for Speedway Road, so that's costing us more. Fully funded, that's the R2R, R2R money that's coming in to offset that. Yep.
That even instead, there's some French Street, we had an allocation for thousand, we reduced that. At the time it needs to be extended 2 years because there's electrical implications with that need to be done. And further design of
So that's just timing. Pobanalu budget. So basically though, that was the fact that the work was all consolidated into this financial year.
that's
And so we've had to bring the funds in to do the works. So if you recall, we've bunched some of that work together for the 2 financial years. So it happens at the end and the beginning, and it's just really a budgeting consideration so that we have less mobilisation and etc. costs on the road.
Sorry, through the chair, sorry, I couldn't jump in quick enough. French road budget decrease of $200,000. We had money allocated, of course. This is another one, probably like the machine. Are we going to put that $200,000 in the road reserve or hold it
So
in?
black pot money we bring in, so there's an amount that lives in the budget that you expect to get.
Yeah.
But you actually only get 20, 40 and 40, or 40, 40 and 20 as you draw it down. So this is just changing the budget figures. This isn't actually our cash.
So we haven't actually got that cash now. Or take
And so
that
you
cash.
just change the budget plan.
Yeah.
So we'll make our first claim to cover the costs that we're spending, but we won't have all of the money because that's not how Black Spot gives us the money.
Thank you.
Recognise new lease liabilities for office equipment and fleet vehicles. So my understanding is that we allocated for the vehicles that we lease. And so that needed to be updated. I'm not sure. Oh, and then there was our office equipment. Is that right? Yeah.
In through the chair. In an earlier presentation, it was indicated to council that the preference was to buy outright, particularly vehicles.
It is absolutely, but we don't have the cash to be able to do that. So I think at the minute we get 13 vehicles for about 200,000, and obviously one vehicle is 40 or 50. So we are trying to allocate each year to start to chip away and to own our vehicles, because there's really no tax benefit to the Shire at all. We get considerable benefits through the state purchasing and not paying stamp duties and things like that. But
And these are operating,
these are all operating vehicles,
So we've got
mostly on the crew.
so we got no access to the residual values.
No, we actually pay out quite often.
This is something be handy to take a longer because that's a, we're just making money for, whoever's leasing the equipment's not state government, it's.
Well, we advise you not to lease, but we've obviously been in a financial position at a time that we've had to lease.
Well, I would advise not to lease because of the character of the financial instrument, that you don't assume any ownership of that at the end. You know, with the vehicles, and particularly young ones, they're worth way more than the whatever residual may have written.
Predominantly at the moment, the CEO's vehicle, if we change that over at 80,000, it will cost us 15,000. We're usually doing very minimal tyre transfers, minimal. You could even make money, you know, recently with Toyota and the delays. We've actually, with the way that the leases are set up, and they've been historic here, so we're still looking at those. But we've actually had to do all of the maintenance, or we've kept them for well beyond the CEO's vehicle that we just changed over. We had to do rust removals and send it to, you know, panel beating and everything. So it cost us considerably. So yeah, it's not in the Shire's interests at all to be leasing vehicles. And it also can put vehicles back into the community if we sell them off as well. So my experience has been that we would look to own our vehicles as much as possible. But we're obviously behind the 8 ball and need to chip away at that over time.
Ground reserve.
We just need to buy. Whenever we have some, bring it back to council, that if we have some surplus, that we look to try and get ahead of the ball.
Thank you.
Okay. So then, non-cash amounts excluded from investing activities. I'm not quite sure what that allocation was off the top of my head today. And have you got any insight?
It's a lease liabilities.
Yeah, does it add up to that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry, yes, it does. So that's the in and out. Sorry, everybody. And that would be the same. The rest would all be how they work in and out there. So, any further questions, councillor Skender?
That's fine. The transfers there for the street sweep at the very last item, very simple. Thank you.
Okay, councillors, can I have someone move that we go back into standing orders, please? Councillor. And councillor Kelly seconded that. Councillors, is there any debate on that? There being no debate, it's adopted unanimously. Thank you. So councillors, we're back to the standard motion. Moved by councillor Kelly and seconded by councillor Skender. Councillors, is there any further debate? There being no debate, that's adopted unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.1.8, status of council decisions. Councillors, well, move it, please. Councillor Dean Maslin, second it, please. Councillor Kelly. Councillors, is there any debate? Questions? I do have one question. After a quick reread this morning, the blowholes is an outstanding item that we seem to have stored on with it. I note that the Department of Planning, Land and Heritage are undertaking a development viability report. Could we get an update on where that's at, please?
So my understanding is that it's about to be released. So we did get an update from them just late last week. I had a chance to communicate that to council. And we are also putting together all of our costs from the last season so that we can come to council March or April to discuss that further going forward. So we should start to see a little bit of movement. My understanding is that that development report will go out for comment to council and perhaps to the community. I'm just waiting to further understand that.
Yes, right. Thank you. Any other questions? Sorry about that. Wait, getting that in. Being the case, is there any debate? There being no debate, that's adopted unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.2.1, accounts paid under delegation, January 26. Councillor Scott, move it, please. Councillor Kelly. Ray, seconding that. Thank you. Is there any debate, councillors?
I've just got a more so a comment to make about a particular line item, if I may. Line item T4663 46 odd $1,000 for More Australia. That was a substantial investment by Shire in the training of both council, as we mostly all went to that meeting with Robson, I think his name was, and a goodly chunk to staff to improve their financial literacy. I think, well, I believe it worthwhile. Obviously, Russell and team picked up a couple of inconsistencies that have crept into the way things are reported, and perhaps things haven't been picked up, particularly on that leave liability transferring across from other organisations. But again, significant investment, and I hope that we all take that training on board. And I guess the other thing is, don't be scared to ask questions of administration or council that if that can't be answered, we can certainly take it back to More. They certainly quite a valuable resource. And, you know, our way forward is our financial position is maybe not precarious, but pretty tight to the wind. So we're all going to have to up our game and actually understanding how all the nuts and bolts go together to come up with a financial result. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. I'll take you spoke to the motion. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any further speakers for the motion? Being no further speakers, that's adopted unanimously. Monthly financial report, 7.3.2. Councillors, I have a move, please. Councillor Kelly. Second, please. Councillor Farina. Councillors, is there any debate? There being no debate, it's adopted unanimously. Item Development and Community Services, item 7.3.1, award of the tramway walk trail and shovels construction installation.
Sorry. Anybody else here?
So through the chair, you had sent through some information. Mark is ready to present to you. So.
So can I, someone move, we suspend standing orders, please? Councillor Kelly, Councillor Farina. All those in favour?
Change the views.
It's unanimous, thank you.
We change the views, which was the mark there on the screen.
Thank you. Are we good to go, Mr. President, for a summary?
Yes, well, yeah.
Sure. Thank you. I would just say at the outset that I won't discuss some of the confidential matters of the tenderer submission, given their commercial in confidence, but I'll provide an overview of the process in the public forum here. So this project from the outset is funded by Lotterywest as part of our $3.3 million grant. An RFT was put out to the public domain to seek quotes to fabricate and install the tramway shelter and also the healing shelter. So these are to complement some of the existing work around the trails. And in the case of the healing shelter, to sit next to the piece of artwork at the Heritage Precinct and provide some shade and a place for contemplation. As a result of that tender and procurement process, we did not receive any quotes. As per the Local Government Act, we then went through a process to directly invite tenderers. We went out to 5 different contractors and we received 1 quote from a local contractor, Track Building. The team has evaluated that. We've provided some additional confidential information on the evaluation process, which we went through, including the scores and the comments. The track tender was deemed as compliant, and the recommendation to appoint this contractor is based on additional due diligence that the team undertook, given we only had 1 response. The additional due diligence included speaking to additional people regarding the evaluation, our local infrastructure team on the ground in Carnarvon, H&H Architects, who have been involved in the project and the design from the outset, and also a meeting with Track to I guess fully understand the process that they've gone through in regards to their methodology, risk mitigation, and other matters, so that we can get it, so that I guess the evaluation panel was comfortable that we could get a good result if we go along the lines of the council recommendation. Over to you, unless there's any, I guess, questions we can talk about in the public forum. Otherwise, happy to answer more detailed questions behind doors if council wishes to go that way.
The critical assumptions put forward by the contractor, were they dealt with?
Yes, they have been dealt with in regards to the meeting, and the team's comfortable. We can continue to move forward. As part of the methodology, we'll continue to check in on those. We also discussed some of the risks highlighted by the contractor, particularly in regards to the healing shelter site, and we're comfortable that particularly in regards to that site, that the contractor is putting in appropriate risk mitigation practices and has gone through and I guess worked through how he would deliver the project.
Any other questions, councillors?
I have a question. On the tender's offer. On 3 on the pricing schedule, so that we've got idea of the two shelters. And then sorry, I'm just reading it. So it says there the tender shall complete all pricing information contained in the following price schedule. So do we have a copy of the price schedule? So hourly rates and things like normally we would be or in the past like to see that type of information just for a bit of oversight. I know there's only one applicant in this instance. However, in the past, it's been good for a road, for example, to be able to see what an hourly rate is for a grader driver for that company and a grader driver for that company. So I'd like to.
Mark, could you,
Pricing schedule available.
is there anything further available, Mark?
In the tender package, we requested a lump sum for the delivery of the tramway shelter and also for the healing shelter. I guess I can't go into further discussion in a public forum around the differences.
It's a lump sum.
There's no hourly fee, but it is a lump sum. Yeah.
So just says there that they shall complete all pricing information contained in the following price schedule. So it's just 2 lump sums, 1 for each shelter.
Yes.
Council, is there any further questions? All right.
Yeah. So if, hypothetically, say if this was, say if we went back to the contractor and asked for the pricing, if it was so the 598,000, how is that calculated?
The chair, there's 2 different shelters in that. Is that right, Mark?
Yes, so I can confirm that the cost installed includes the fabrication and supply of the materials, the site works, and also the installation of each shelter.
That's what we got asked for. Station items, like to see breakdown into pricing from the applicants. For quite a large project. Significant amount of money.
Yes, I do have some concerns. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So to move along, can I have, anybody got any other questions? Right. Okay, so can someone move to back in standing order, please? Councillor Maslen. Seconded, Councillor Kelly. Okay, so we have the substantive motion, so would someone like to move that substantive motion, please? So we'll debate it. Councillor Maslen. Seconder, please. Councillor Kelly. Councillors. Dudley, you speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know where I've been sleeping, but wherever it's been, I've been well and truly asleep because this is, this project, the first I knew about it was 2.5 years ago. I was asked to support this and I wasn't on the council, and I wrote a letter back to council saying how the difficulties that I had with supporting this reactivation or whatever it is, and put the reasons why. And I come on to council and I find this well and truly advanced. And I haven't bothered, I'm not bothered. I've decided not to do anything outlandish about it because a lot of staff work, a lot of good work's been done into this. But this whole project leaves me with concerns, I'm afraid, because it might be a good idea for some, but when you look at it, I think there's a lot of planning shortfalls. And I'm talking right across the spectrum. And I know it's to do with track tender. I'm happy to support that. But for example, the big banana, I found out last week, just in an accidental drop of the thing, that this banana is built in Spain. Being built in Spain. It's not so I'll better sleep under a rock somewhere, and it's just about blew my bloody socks off by the time I got home. That's the first thing. I have then also met, as was agreed, as chairman of the Carnarvon Heritage Group, with a delegation from the Shire, representatives from the Shire, Carol and Elkie, along the lines that it was time for the heritage group out there that had tidied up what was there. We felt that we had some runs on the board and it was time to engage with the community through the Shire. We're engaging through the community anyway, but start to engage through the Shire. And the boundary was there, or is there, and that is the bridge. The bridge that is not open. No one can get through from the town out to Babbage Island along the bridge, along that trail. My understanding has been, as chair, and my committee's understanding was that once we got to the trail, that we would work with the Shire in developing the interpretive signage along that side and this shed, this railway shed at the end of the bridge. I'm quite happy to, we more or less said, been told, or I've been told, that that's what it's going to be. Our input would be to the interpretive signage that be attached to it. And if we wanted some minor modifications, we could suggest them. And I've done that. My minor suggestion of modification is seating inside, which is not shown on, shown on the outside. It's seating inside the thing. And also perhaps a thing that's got a low step that can walk into one of those little toy train carriages we've got out there, in the event that one day that little toy train can run backwards and forwards once the bridge is open, conveying tourists out to the precinct on a regular basis, which is yet worked out. So what I suppose I'm saying is that I've got out of bed to go mustering and someone's pinched my bloody horse, because it's just, when I was talking to these people from the Shire the other day, I said, well, here's the standard of our signage. Anyone that's been out there will see the standard of the signage, even I say so myself, is quite good. And we didn't invent it. I got it from Carew or Carnamore. Both of them use the same sign makers, and they've got excellent heritage stuff down there, and we copied off them. Instead of reinventing the wheel, we've gone and borrowed from somebody else. It's a lot cheaper, and they're quite happy about it. So we're getting to the stage where we're going to do this interpretive signage, but I'm sure I heard correctly that this interpretive signage has already been decided on. Now, I have two problems with this. I'm glad Mr. Fullerton's in the room in the gallery here. One is some of the history that gets told around town about certain things is not totally correct. And I'm not sure who our Aboriginal advisor is. I know there's a few in town that reckon that, and good luck to them. But I went to a thing at the theatre over here a month or so ago, and there was a competition on the board, named the kangaroo out of the truck stop out here. And there were several animals on there that allegedly had Aboriginal names. Well, they weren't the Aboriginal names of the local communities. Now, I don't think there's anyone, well, there might be some people who'd like to say that, what the hell do I know what I'm talking about? And that's fair enough. But I had two Aboriginal people, leaders in the community council, and say, what's wrong here? Why they got the wrong names on it? For example, a marlin was supposed to be a small kangaroo.
You're 1 minute left.
Everybody knows that lives in this town that a marlin is a big red. I'm just using it as an example. And there are several other mistakes. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to get, all I'm getting at is that this has gone on way too past me, and it's going on a bit too fast. And I'd like to be involved in as a councillor, because we will wear it as councillors if something goes wrong here. And I just see it rocketing out of control. H&H Architects, we have them advising out at the Heritage Precinct, and I find that their advice is relatively bland. It needs a bit more packing out, and that's why I say it's pretty hard to do anything without guidance. So thank you, Mr. President. I support Tracks being awarded the contract, but I just wanted to make those notes for council that I'm just really concerned about where we're going with this reactivation. Thank you.
Councillor Maslin. Councillors, are there any speakers? I take it that speaking for the motion. Are there any speakers against the motion?
Yeah, I'd just like to not echo Councillor Maslin, but probably be different in a way. I support the activation project, and I support the shelters that are proposed to be built, and try and figure out some external funding which we've been able to get. My concern is that we're going to spend $598,000, and in this instance, applicants and us a lump sum. I know that's what we've asked for. With that sum of money, I would like to see more detail in terms of the rates applicable for build. You know, you can almost build a house and that's sort of plans and full breakdowns, progress payments, and all sorts of things. So for this, I'd like to see more information in the way of a pricing schedule from the applicant or any other applicants. Just give me the comfort that proceeding in the right manner here, and not taking anything away from the applicant. Track building, I think they're a great local business. It's for me to cross the T's and dot the I's and ensure that we're covering all bases. It's somewhat consistent with what we've done in the past with different tender applications, where we have in our possession a schedule of the cost / rates of different contractors, and we can vet those. So at the moment, I support the project wholeheartedly. It's just in this instance, I just feel like I need to get a bit more specific information before I can support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Skenderson. You'll speak against the motion. Councillor Stover, speak for the motion. No further speakers for the motion. Councillors? Then it's, yeah, I'm going to speak against the motion. And I think it's time council stood up for what it really believes in. So, yes, we need that shelter replaced where the old train station was. Yes, we do need a shelter over the top of the lady out there pointing at the island. But too many times over the years, I've watched us build shelters, build shade structures, build all sorts of things, and then watch them deteriorate, fall down and be pulled out and removed without any maintenance, nothing at all. I agree with this being done, but I want to see innovation. I want to see change made where we're building out of materials that will last. We can't afford to do maintenance. Why are we building something out of something that's going to need a lot of maintenance? I was at the blowholes last week, stuck up there for a swim. Those wonderful stairs down at the aquarium, they're practically new and they're running in rust in some spots already. How long are they going to last? So I want to see this occur. I support it occurring, but I want to see it done differently. And I have to admit there is an item there in the, which I can't discuss apparently, it scares the hell out of me. So we can discuss that in private later. But so I cannot support what has been presented. I know there's been a lot of work by the Shire staff to date on this. We should have been making the noises that I'm making now prior to this starting, and I admit that. That's where we have failed as a council. We need to lift our game and look to the future on how we're doing our job. So today's start, councillors. Thank you. So, Councillor Dudley Mesler, would you like to close the debate, please?
I've made no further comment, Mr. Chairman. I totally agree with you and I understand the point that Councillor Skinner's made. He's been on the council since while this was being developed up, so he probably had more information. I've read back and I couldn't see anywhere where any of the papers says that this one of these structures being built offshore. And I just got surprised the other day when we've got perfectly good tradesmen in Carnarvon here. And we've certainly got them in Australia because we're going to build nuclear submarines eventually. We hope. Anyway, with that, I close the debate. Thanks very much.
Thank you, councillor. Councillors, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? Councillor, that's 6 against 2, 4. Thank you. Councillors, item 7.3.2, development application B65/25. Now I have some. This councillors with an yes, thank you, councillor. Here with an interest, councillor Maslin, you have an interest in this, but you.
Yes, like the applicant. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you. Mover, please. Councillor Kelly. Councillor Farina seconded that. Thank you. Councillor Kelly, do you want to speak to the motion?
Thank you. No, I said it's a fairly straightforward application to regulise our soil within. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Kelly. Are there any speakers against the motion?
Yeah, sorry. I believe this little instance is damage only damage. Unfortunately, I think there's balance defined. So if I understand the applicant wants to lease their property through Airbnb. Yep. And so from reading the document here, the process of the owner of properties that we first applied to say, help the planning commission for ST short-term rental accommodation. I think it's a relatively new act, in order to regulate that, and then once that's approved, then they potentially have to come to the appropriate local council that's in that jurisdiction. So, I jumped on Airbnb and there's quite a number of properties that are listed on there. So, want to ensure that there's no double standard. So if this person's taking the time to apply the STRA to the state, and that's what I believe being approved, and then they'll come to us. So, what I'd like to know is this the first Airbnb that has come to the council for approval? I could remember, and if it is, then should we make an effort to ensure that the other properties are Airbnb in Carnarvon following or have followed the same process that this applicant has done diligently? So I don't like double standards, but I don't.
So through the chair, Councillor Skender, at this point in time, this is the matter in front of you. In terms of going forward and including the stamp and everything into our planning schemes and that sort of arrangements, that's another matter entirely.
Yeah.
So right now, this development application is in front of you as an appropriate mechanism, and other things are a matter of compliance and us doing our work operationally. So at this point in time, we can get that information for you in other ways, but we can't really talk in the room at the minute about the specifics of who is and isn't approved and what's going on.
Just more getting a grasp of context out. So
Through the chair at the briefing and things the other day, we did talk about the fact that we need to move forward. With this and incorporate it into our planning scheme, and we actually have an amendment coming that will include this and those sorts of things.
So you don't
with
think-
the new regulation.
Need any on the recommendation?
Matter that is in front of you at the moment that is mutually exclusive to be dealt with appropriately, and it's been undertaken that way.
I think it's one of those ones that if we say no, we go straight into that. Yeah, no would win, unfortunately. Yeah.
And I think that there's many councils, if you have a bit of a look out there, that are going to be going through this process of sorting out the compliance and the legislation and where we're at. And I suppose this is one of those ones which is no different to people who operate some businesses from home, and that things do slip through the cracks. But we will be more formalising this because the government has as well. So these guys have done this all absolutely appropriately, and we're in the process to be able to take this to you in the correct format.
Yeah, so I support the applicant. I thank them wholeheartedly for doing the right thing and going through the formal processes, and I support them in this. I understand the concern from some of the other accommodation providers in Carnarvon that are in the picture at the moment, so hotels, motels, and some caravan parks. So, but don't, is it our role to regulate that control?
Well,
so it's
Chair, there's also the consideration of existing use rights that needs to be considered as well. So if Airbnb or bed and breakfast has been established way before and continued that use, these regulations came in, but that use would still be recognised and may not require planning.
So at this point in time, what we're undertaking is what's possible to undertake. We can't consider. The only thing that I can say is that and it'll come out in the tourism comprehensives and things, is that in Carnarvon, people are talking about the standard of accommodation and that they want to see differences and they want to see all manner of accommodation being offered. So we're putting this to you in good faith for you to consider.
councillors, that was a question. Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. There's any speakers for the motion?
Yeah, thank you, councillor Skender. I'm just dealing with the matter in front of us, and I have been contacted by the person who owns the duplex next door, which is basically something we should take into consideration because it's not a separate house. It's someone who's just the next wall over. But based on the application and weighing up both sides of, debate, etc., I noticed this approval is only valid for 12 months. I think if we were to deny it this late in the game, we would definitely end up in SAT, and it would not be in the child's favour at all in regards to past precedents. But it has highlighted some areas, grey areas, deficiencies, etc., that I think we can work on going forward. So in the next 12-month period, I imagine we have a lot more feedback how that's actually worked, that it is working, that it's not. But at this point in time, when councillors again pointed out, we are sort of down the middle, down the gun. So with that, I'll refer the council to a vote.
Speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? No further speakers. Councillor Kelly, would you like to close the vote, please?
Yes, thank you. I noted the points there raised by councillor Swindler, councillor Maslin. Again, at the end of the day, the applicant's meeting some statutory requirements, and as a planning, if it's applicable, there's nothing that we can do apart from litigating that and get it overturned. I would recommend council proceed ahead as per the recommendation and debate closed.
Thank you, councillor Kelly. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That was, no, it's not. Well, it's 6-0. Thank you. Councillors, the motion was put as per the officer's recommendation and adopted 6-0. Thank you. Item 7.3.3, waiver of the ECU tax levy. Right, I'll move it. Councillor Kelly. Second, councillor Skender. Councillors, is there any debate on this subject, or would you like to speak to your motion? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll speak for the motion. This is an ongoing yearly request for the Edmonton University. Obviously, Carnarvon's unfortunately not running over ourselves with tax accountants and agents. Unlike the old way, a former tax agent in the back, so it provides an invaluable service to our residents, and on that basis, a very small foregoing of fee to give some people the practicality in their lives.
Thank you, councillor Kelly. Is there any speakers against the motion? Councillors, I just would like to mention, I think it's fantastic service that's provided to our town for many people in our town that struggle to get their tax done if the service wasn't being provided. So I think they do a fantastic job of that. But I've spoken to the motion. Councillor, is there any further speakers for the motion? Okay, councillor Kelly, you get to vote. Thank you. Councillors, all those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item 7.4.1, tramway bridge reinstatement and refurbished detailed design. Councillors. Maslin, Steve Maslin. Move that. Seconder, please. Councillor Farina. Councillor Maslin, would you like?
Thank you, Mr. President. So, this is to deal with the tramway bridge. We want to obviously, get on with it and start doing the work. We have all been briefed, and there has been some discussion around the, access to the beach off that tramway bridge. We have discussed, disabled access, the quote that came back was only $500,000 to have a compliant staircase put in. Discussed not having any stairs at all. And we discussed having a possible non-compliant structure. So taking up and weighing all these things on board, the original officer's recommendation, which is the option 1, which is to basically go with a set of stairs which will provide access to the beach, at least to be able to walk down the tramway bridge down to get onto the beach. But I also think this will help in the second stage, because it will be able to provide people to get down and operate underneath the bridge, work on it, etc. To go without the stairs at 63,000 around, we might gain an extra 6 metres. So weighing up all the options, I strongly suggest that we support the officer's recommendation. As on balance, as it's quoted here, option 1 represents the most responsible and sustainable outcome for council, preserving community access, minimising financial and structural impact, and avoiding the reputational and safety risks associated with other overcapitalised or absent access solutions. So with that, council would support option as put.
Thank you, councillor Maslin. Any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion?
Sorry, racked my brain on this one. It was the first motion a couple of weeks ago, then one. Briefing on this, and so since then, even this morning, questioning which way to go. Do you forego the $63,000 worth of stairs? 5 to 10 minutes at the most, we don't think is it worth it. So I didn't think about stairs being able to potentially provide access to Ellen Beach for further works in the future. It's a use of funding, so I think that it gets me over the line and supporting these stairs. So and the fact that it's the desire puts much effort into getting as far as we can along the walks, terms of megarage. So I changed my mind a few times this morning and I supported it. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Skander. Any further speakers for or against the motion? There being no further speakers. Councillor Maslin, would you like to close the debate?
Vote's closed.
Thank you, councillor. All those in favour? Adopted unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. Item 8, applications for leave of absence. Do we have any applications for leave of absence? Councillor Maslin. Next meeting. So we need a seconder. Councillor Farina. Is there any debate on that, councillors? There being no debate, that's ordered unanimously. Thank you. Motions for which previous notice has been given. There are nil. Questions from members without notice.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Council, questions to CEL. More than probably percolated in my system after having the financial literacy and financial statement overview by Williams Australia in brackets. The question is, CEO, I'm hoping that the budget setting, I need to make sure I don't say budget review, because I think some councillors talked about a budget review in terms of actually setting the 26-27 budget rather than perhaps the review on the 25-26. But the question is, when can we start work? And in my view, that really needs to start first or second week of March.
So through the chair, thank you very much, Councillor Kelly. I missed off your email on Friday. We have outlined a program council to consider, and that will include more and the exec. So we will be kicking off in March, and we have quite a detailed program for you, which we'll need to ask how much councillors can give their time and involvement. But there's a number of different ways to go about it. So we will be presenting that to you. And we've been actively working on things like the blowholes and you know, other sort of operational costs and things that you've asked for in the past, rate setting, etc. So we've been doing that work ready to go. So we're not far away, and you should get that. Actually, I can send it today because I realised it didn't get attached on Friday.
Okay, thank you.
On Bella, is Mr. Hartley still putting together a rates and revenue strategy?
Yes, we've got a whole heap of work to bring to you.
Any further questions, councillors? Urgent business approved by the presiding member of the decision of the council. There is none other than I think I've spoken just about every council. I'd like to just stay back for a little while to discuss some of the events in the last week or so, and we might think moving forward and improvements we could make to some things, but if it all hang back for us would be great. Yeah, we had the staff awards starting at 12. Matters for which the meeting be closed to members of the public. The date of the next meeting is the 24th March. With that, councillors, the meeting is closed. Very much.